Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our ventilation day. A few things up front. Passive House is science-based, so science has a lot of to do with mathematics and calculations and all that stuff. And for our creative minds, it might be sometimes a bit challenging because you rather like to look at it as the big picture, that graphic, that beauty of it. And not looking into a table and seeing all these crunching numbers. So we totally understand that. We have these two different types, I call them number crunchers and creatives. For the creatives, it's a bit challenging, but I think it's really good for you to see how that is all coming together. If you can't do that calculations later, emotionally, you understand how the things are coming together, if that makes sense. For the Passive House design, a creative that is now doing the design and is doing it by the feel, if it feels right, if that is all good. Don't let the feel be too strong on the creative side, on the aesthetics. Think a lot of the performance as well in that process. And then the number cruncher is coming and is going over it and is then saying, yeah, that works. Oh, careful here, that window needs a bit more shading. What could we do? And then gives you the feedback. Like I said, Passive House is teamwork. Yeah, like we all need to work together. We all have our strengths and weaknesses as well. I want to let you know that, thank you for your feedbacks. They really help us to see where you as a class are at and what we can still improve. So let us know what's good, let us know what's bad, what we still can improve, and then we can adjust the course that you are having right now to your needs. Yeah, so we are looking at that feedbacks and we're adjusting and adjusting. Like, for example, this morning I spent the day of rearranging presentations a little bit. You will see that everything is exactly like you have it in your printout. We are thinking about doing things faster and quicker because of not every class is the same, guys. Yeah, so we are adjusting it to your needs as much as we can. We still have to teach you the same content because we're having these three different things we try to get into balance. On one hand, we want to make you the best designer ever. Yeah, that we can do in this time frame. On the other hand, we have to explain you what the Passive House standard and what the Passive House standard is asking from us. And sometimes that is in conflict with best design, from a performance or in an overall situation sometimes. But we want to let you know where we are critical about the standard itself. And then we have to prepare you for the exam. And there are three completely different things. Theoretically, we could probably prepare you for the exam with just doing the homework and exercises. Then you know what comes in the exam, then you understand how that all comes together, and then you can actually pass it. But do you understand what you're doing after that? That's the other question. Like, we don't want to get certified, like we don't want to have certified people that have no clue of what they're doing. Yeah, so this is the reason why we as well say we spend rather more time on the course and not shortening it down to like a minimum of making you pass the exam or having a chance to pass the exam. We really want you to come out of this with a good understanding and giving you tools on your hand that you can use and start pretty much your design. We started to help our students after the course as well. If you're having a Passive House project, there are different ways we can help you. We can do the number crunching for you. We can go with you through the PHPP and that calculation together with you, or we can review your work and then give you a feedback on it. Yeah, so there's different ways how we can help you afterwards. We are starting to build this number cruncher group in the background that are like engineers from different perspectives. You might mechanical, structural, civil, putting that all together from an understanding point of view and then having people that can help you. So we're building that. We're starting to build that now. So we are there to help you. Yeah. And something that I really felt guilty about earlier, that we didn't have that support afterwards. But now with Elsie here, and she's really, really good in what she like with the engineering mind and optimizing things. So she will be there helping you and I will be then helping her. And we're creating a whole team of designers in the background that are able to help you. On the exam side, like I said, best designer that we can make you in this short term time that we're having together. explaining you the Passive House standard and how to do a Passive House project and the exam. And I don't know if you know how exams work. The exams are only a test, yeah, and you have to follow things. Like I've done English tests and I needed to do my bloody English tests 7 times to be allowed to work here in Australia. You probably say, okay, for sure, you can't spell. Yeah, that's one of my my weaknesses. So I needed to do the bloody IELTS and TOEFL test combined 7 times to be allowed to work here in Australia. Before that, I studied a master's degrees that normally takes 2 years in Canada. I wrote my thesis of 180 pages in English in 3 months, but I was still not good enough to come to Australia to work here as an engineer because my English is too poor. Yeah. So exam doesn't mean that you know what you're doing. Yeah. So we need to prepare you for the exam as well. And that's what Julia is doing with this homework and exercises, where we actually have exam-like questions and we answer them as we would answer them in an exam, and not necessarily always the way we would do it in real world. Yeah, I would say many of you, if you would do this bloody IELTS or TOEFL test, you probably would fail as well, even if you're a native speaker, because you don't know what they're actually looking for and what you have to apply. For me, it was really the spelling. And at the end, I was asking for a review. And then with the review, I was actually passing. Yeah, so I, like with the first correction, I never passed. So yeah, so everybody has their weaknesses, everybody has their strengths. I'm a number cruncher. That's number cruncher and visionary, and that's what I am. And I'm able to normally bring things together in an understandable way, hopefully. I hope it for you guys that is the case and not just the imagination for myself. So yeah, please give us this feedback so that we know what we can improve and where you have your difficulties so that we can adjust your course right now, and as well that we can improve it for the future. Like Julia and I, we spent tomorrow half a day and the day after on reviewing of our teaching, reviewing the whole content and saying, yeah, let us rearrange, let us do this. So we're spending a lot on time on this and improving it every single time. So we have this aim of every single course that we do is the best course ever taught. Yeah, so that's what we want to do. Now a little bit of admin stuff that I would like to do with you guys. Just to make sure that we're all on the same page and we know what needs to be done. First of all, did you get an email this morning with the material list? Did you get that? Yeah, it's a list that I found online. I hope the numbers are correct. Yeah, this is a list that has all that stuff in it, the vapor resistance, the capacity, the heat capacity, and the lambda value. And I think it's a good orientation for you because the capacity and the lambda value together gives us the thermal performance, but it goes far beyond the teaching of what we can provide, how that is related to each other. And I'm actually I've been working with people together to find formulas, how to make that simple and get a close-ish result to get a combination of performance out of the thermal mass and the U value approach. We have now something that I show you. I've showed you already, I think, once, that approach with thermal comfort without conditioning, but we cover that on our conditioning day a little bit more. Then next one is our exam. Have you registered for the exam already? So on our website, you would go again into your account. And then when you've logged into your account, you will see these numbers of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so the designer 1. I think this is the one that you will have, the recorded version of the Palama. So that's like all the language mathematics that you should have done up front. If you haven't done it yet, maybe you want to review that. That brings everything together so that we're all on the same page. And then we're having here our designer course. That's your designer course, 23rd to 14th of September. And here you see now you're having your how to download your Zoom if you haven't had it. Otherwise, it won't be there. You have it already. Then your meeting link, your Facebook group, your email address, your password for the PDFs, everything is here. And now when you go on your introduction day, you see here already the homework, the health, sustainability, economics, passive house, climate, and exercises. So you see the introduction day, we're having already here the things in here. So that's our health unit, our sustainable unit, design, all that is here. Yeah, so we're having that already here with the new content. And we're having then here as well on the D1, I think that's ready as well. So all that stuff is here, so you can review that, guys. One thing that we do as well, like that homework will be then at the end. Yeah, and we will as well put in here the preview and review of the days, because I think, yeah, but we still have already here the homework of the windows, like the Windows day. We're having the homework of the heat recovery ventilation days. They're already there. That's the old material. Keep updating everything over and over again and making it better and better. So that was our D1. That's the Palama. D2 is our course. So you normally have this one, and then there is D3. That's the exam preparation. We have 2 mock-ups in the exams in there that you can do in your own time. I would say after today, you can do most of it already. Not everything, but most of it, you can do it already. So if you have time on the weekend, maybe you can try one of them already. You have the PDFs, and then you just do it, and then you can review it with the recordings. And then we're having here our exams. Yeah, so you let us know if you want to do the exam on the 23rd or 24th. I think both exam dates are open. We are more than 20 people. Yeah, both exam dates are open. Yeah, and this is now the first step. Then after you've completed that first step, you say mark complete. Yes, I've done it. Then it brings you to the trial exam and the preparation of your machine. And that, like you see, please go back, complete the previous session. So you can't go here yet. You first have to register, and then here you learn how to do the trial exam. It's just 10 questions on the right platform and shows you how the online exam works. So that's that part. And then that's now the date, last questions, where we then go through the last questions, and then that's now your exam date. So this is the process for the exam, and please register for the exam until our next session. That was that. So that's all on the account for you, and you can just open it up there. Review of the Windows Day. So what did we learn on the Windows Day? So windows are the most expensive part of the building envelope, and the black sheep is the frame, because it's the most expensive part of the windows per square meter. It's the most expensive part of the building envelope. And the frame is expensive, unwanted, performs worst of the whole building envelope, is responsible for the longest or 2 longest thermal bridges, and doesn't help us with the solar gains, yeah, and the natural lighting. Yeah, so frame is something we really, really want to avoid. So we want slim frames, and we want big square windows, few in numbers. So that's the first thing that we want. Then we haven't probably stressed it enough yesterday, but we don't want you to get the values of the windows. We don't want you to get the values of the windows. We want you to get the values of the glazing and the frame. As the ratio of the frame to glazing is different with every single window, your window value would be always different. Yeah, so if you're having a 2 square meter window and a 1 square meter window, the ratio between frame and glazing is different. And so the U value of that window would be different. The solar heat gain coefficient of that would be different. So don't get the values of the window, get the values of your glazing, get the values of your frame, because they tell you how they perform. One thing that I see happening more and more here in Australia is that frame manufacturers starting to temper their results by putting really good glazing in really poor frames. Yeah, so they're using now like the thermally broken window frame, like this thermally broken aluminium frame that you're hearing everywhere. You can leave this thermally away with most of them. They're just broken window frames. They're not thermally broken. They're just broken window frames. You shouldn't use them. They cut them in half, put a little bit of glue behind it, and then they call it thermally broken. It's far from where we want to go. And now they use this and put a triple glazed window in it, and now the performance looks really good. Yeah, because the amount of glazing in that window is so good, like so much, and the glazing is performing well. And now overall, it levels out the performance of the frame. But now you have condensation on the frame, you have mold on the frame, you have water dripping down on your frame, you have leakage through your frame, like water leakage and air leakage. So be careful with that. Always get the value for the frame, the U value of the UF, the U value of the frame, and the U value of the glazing to see if that actually works. If the frame value, the UF of the frame is okay for your location, you can use it. Passive House is not telling you what material to use. Passive House is telling you how your material needs to perform. Yeah, it's not telling you use plastic, use UPVC, use timber, use aluminium or steel or whatever. They're not telling you what material to use. They tell you how the material needs to perform. Yeah, and you're now trying to find a material that actually performs as you need it for your location and your situation. Then don't use the worst table. I don't know if you know the worst table for windows here in Australia. Yeah, you know that table? Who knows the worst table? Yeah. Don't use it. It's the worst table you could use because the values are completely off. Yeah, like it's one size of window that they're using, and now this is what you're applying to all the windows. It doesn't work. These tables don't work. Get the value for your glazing, get the values for your frame. Don't use window values. The thing is, what they do in that table is they're using the solar heat gain coefficient for the whole window. So if you're having too much solar gains, what do? You use a wider frame. Yeah, you make your frame wider, your solar heat gain coefficient goes down because there's less solar radiation coming through. It's a totally opposite what we want. Don't use that table. Use the values for the glazing, use the values for the frame, and don't mix them up, because then we're getting mixed messages, wrong information. Careful with the window schedule, especially with imports, because some suppliers or regions in the world, they look for the window schedule from the inside of the building, and others look to it from the outside of the building. So now if you have a left opening window and you look from the inside to it, it becomes a right opening window. Yeah, careful with that. You don't want to have that mixed up. Make sure that you know how they look at their window schedule. A typical mistake I've seen with imported windows, because Europe is different to Australia regarding that they switch it around. So speak with your supplier. How is he looking at his window schedule? And then ask your window supplier or your glazing supplier in particular, what is layer one? Is my layer one outside of the building, or is my layer one inside of the building? So where is my coating? Yeah, that's what you want to find out with your glazing. What is my layer one? Layer one of my glazing, then my layer two, layer three, layer four, layer five. Careful on that. You can find windows for $1,000. Yeah, and you can find this. We can find windows for $40,000 with exactly the same performance. Yeah, so be careful when you're choosing windows. You can get $100,000 windows. You can get $40,000 windows. They perform the same. You could even have like 60,000 and 15,000, something like that. They perform the same. Performance doesn't mean durability. Yeah, like the biggest difference between windows is the furnitures, the fixtures on the window. Yeah, like are they using quality fixtures? Are they using not quality fixtures? So be careful with the fixtures, especially if you're close to the ocean. Marine grade, you want to use marine grade that they're not rusting away. I've seen that as well a lot, that at the end, everything was covered in corrosion because of the marine situation. But you don't need to go for $100,000 windows. You can go for $40,000 windows. They are performing and they're durable, but double check everything. Only because they're 100,000 doesn't mean they are durable. Yeah, so they most likely look better, but it's the same with your kitchen. You can get a $5,000 kitchen, or you get a $50,000 kitchen. The cooking is still the same. Yeah, you heat something, it goes up to 100 degrees and now it boils. Only because it's a $50,000 kitchen doesn't mean it's the kitchen works far better and you have far less issues with cleaning, and you can prepare your food far quicker. It's an architectural feature that you're buying. Yeah, like the kitchen is a kitchen. Like something out of gold or have something out of steel doesn't really make a difference when I'm talking about a cooker. Keep that in mind. It's an architectural feature that you're buying. If the client can afford 100,000 and he wants it, and having now hidden hinges that you can't even see hinges any longer, that you have a wooden window that is really wood and not just looking like wood, yeah, go for it. But if you can't buy it, can't afford it, look to cheaper options. I can tell the difference between a UPVC window and a timber window any longer. The only difference is that the UPVC window often looks more even or better than the wooden window. Wooden window has sometimes a bit more like maybe a nut in it or something that looks different, and then by that you can tell it. But there is not really a difference in performance and in the look any longer. So that is windows. Yeah, get your values for the glazing and the frame. Don't get the values for the windows, get the glazing and frame values. And careful with your window schedule. And careful with your furnitures and fixtures. So that's pretty much the ones to look out for. So now we actually created this high-performing building envelope. And from a thermal perspective, we are perfect. Yeah, like this is what we want to do. But now we have to compromise our thermal performance because we're using the building. Yeah, we're using the building, and we are now having humans living in there. They're creating CO2. They're creating odors, they're creating smells, they're creating particles by the use of the building. And we need to make out of this perfectly sealed box, we need to make out of this now a habitable space that is healthy. And that is mainly related to our ventilation. Yeah, ventilation is a health requirement because we're using that place. If you wouldn't have the ventilation system in there, from a thermal perspective, it's even better, because we don't have the loss of energy any longer that comes with the ventilation system, and we don't have the penetrations through our building envelope with the piping that we do. So, but we're not only thinking about thermal performance, we need to speak about health and comfort as well, and that's the reason we need ventilation. And that's what we're covering today, so ventilation systems.